Oh, hello everybody. Thanks for having us again. Nice to see you all. One thing, not a correction, but it's not a letting go of the act of being identified. It's just a seeing the act of being identified. Yeah, there's no need to let go, but that would imply uh, you're in the act of being identified, so to speak. So it would be the one that thinks, yeah, the one that thinks it's holding on would be now letting go. But see, we're just questioning that. Yeah, just I mean, everything else, every other rock's been unturned and looked under. I mean, where has it gotten us? Here today. So, I mean, I mean, you can try to, the positive way, try to hybrid it, synthesize it with others, patchwork, give a little bit of this and a lot. It's like a recipe, maybe I put too much salt in. I'm going to only put a half a teaspoon and put some pepper in, or throw some Buddhism in there, but some Tantra also to keep people freaking interested. Yeah, well, this is nothing really. It's the same message all the time. There's nothing new in what's in not in non-duality. It's a fact and you are that fact, to have it. In other words, if that fact is appearing as a fact to you, it brings into stark contrast all that isn't a fact, really. Yeah, so you see in a way what you're not, and that's being what you are. You're the seeing of what you're not. Yeah, you're not the seer of what you're not. You're the seeing of it. Yeah, and that seeing is always, there was no point where it wasn't seeing. It's just seeing. That's its nature, aware. And so that's why, non-duality has non in front of it. Yeah, no other path has non-path. No one would pay for a non-path retreat. They just stay home, spend the money some other ways. Lots of pastry, desserts. Yeah, they get something, a couple of pounds, but they at least enjoyed it. So, non-duality. It's just a negation of something called duality. Now, that would be worthy of study, is to see, is this event of being in the ocean a high tide and a low tide? Things happen one way, then they get pulled the other way. Sometimes you're close, then you feel like you're far. Sometimes it's yes, then it's no. Sometimes, they gave great advice 20 years ago, now that's been negated, and no one should do what everyone was doing 20 years ago. Watch the fashion. All these girls got the, pants up to the belly button from the 70s. They're thinking it's a new fucking thing, 2021, but it ain't. It's the 70s, 60s, you know. But it's just, and it comes and goes. Everything comes and goes. And experience come and go. Mental conditions come and go. Emotional, physical, circumstantial, financial. They all come and go. And basically, while they're here, they're volatile. Yeah? So, the wanting to control them and have your condition dependent on their condition is a bad bet, so to speak. Yeah, you're going to lose. The house is always going to win there. And I used to notice it. You spend a couple of weeks away from everything, and it's all controlled environment, no phone calls. It's really pretty good. And you're feeling great Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, fantastic. 9:01. You get the first phone call in 2 weeks. Yeah, your girlfriend left you. 9:02. Hey, you're overdue. While you were lollygagging around, you got fired. All this stuff. There you go. 2 weeks of controlled environment. The volatility shows up. Yeah, it's all jumbled again. Whereas how can you enjoy peace in that condition? How can you enjoy peace if there's their fear of being moved at any moment? Yeah. things changing at any moment, how can you rest there? Yeah, really. It's like resting in a bed and someone sawing the legs, you know? You'd be a little uncomfortable, I think. If you kept hearing the sawing of the legs, would you really get a good night's sleep? Probably not. You'd probably wonder, when is this bed going to collapse? Well, that's sort of the condition of trying to manage outside conditions. It's really a crapshoot. It can go somewhat, all right, and then like that, it can change. So, but what is it that's allowing all of those gyrations to appear? Yeah, what's there? What's the silence that allows you to hear notes? You know, what's the space that you see things in? There are some qualities that are unchangeable, like awareness, let's say. If you want, I don't like using a word, but let's say big mind. Unchangeable, immutable, can be completely sure of, reliable. Yeah? So if you are what you're looking for, I mean, Jesus Christ, that's a pretty damn good message finally to hear. That you are right now what you're looking for. Wow, it's incredible. I'm not talking about you're not a pair of pants or a latte, but I'm talking about the underlying drive is to find some completion, some wholeness, some stabilization, some peace, whatever. Well, you are what you're looking for. Now, what would have to change? Do you have to work on you are what you're looking for, or would it be the change would be shown in the looking for it? Yeah, I mean, I would think the looking for it wouldn't have such a huge demand anymore because you are what you're looking for. Yeah, you could be relaxed, and if something else came into the screen, you'd have a time to pay attention because you are what you're looking for. Yeah, you don't have to. You could be open to possibilities, things showing up. Yes, spontaneous downloads. Why? Because you are what you're looking for. Now, you don't have to believe that or not. You know, there are some people that have come to a, it doesn't mean the beginning or the end of the road is any better than the beginning or the end, but they come to a certain end of the road, and these statements have proven worthy of a pause. You know, they've stopped the person, so to speak. They've stopped that constant activity, and a new assessment dawned. Yeah, you felt truly in your gut that you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Yeah, being the Buddha. Yeah, you get it. You finally get it. The cryptic stuff falls, and you realize something. Now, I don't know what condition you seem to be in when you realize it, and I don't know how it's going to change your dance routines in this life. I don't. But I do know the assurance you're living under isn't based on outside conditions. Yes? You'll be able to travel lighter through whatever life has in store for you. Because it's not based on the outside completely. You play a role of being able to outshine circumstances and situations, not by taking an 8-month course of how to outshine circumstance situations, but just you find that a quality in your own life. Yeah, you find it. You see certain things are appearing that weren't appearing before. Yes, and then the immediacy of this idea, you are what you're looking for, the immediacy of it shows you so much why we're missing things, because we don't see what's already here. We don't see what's always here. And first of all, you couldn't, but we don't recognize something that's always here. Like if you look, we used a little example of gravity. Most people are everyone's under the influence of gravity all day, yet they very rarely blame gravity for like being winded going up that hill. They think it was the hill, you know. That hill has it out for me, man. Jesus Christ. It's or those steep staircases, but it's really gravity. Yes, You're going against a force you're not sort of aware of, and it's producing an effect. And now the head doesn't like to stay in I don't know, so it makes up a fucking story. Oh, it's this hill. I got to stay away from hills or stairs or shit like that. But I mean, wouldn't you think it would be nice to be clear what's causing something? If there's going to be a like, I'm swearing off hills for the rest of my life, you know what I mean? Wouldn't you want to know that maybe it's a force that that hill is representing, sort of called gravity? And if you really want to know what gravity is, because you're always under its influence, the best way would be going into an anti-gravity chamber. You would know gravity by its absence, yes? That's how you'd realize it. You'd realize it by its absence. Yeah. You would, and then when you were walking at that hill, you may have the same narrative, but there's an understanding underneath it. Yes, it's not the hill, it's gravity. I mean, I'm curious about that. I'm curious about, why is it that I mistake like nervousness for anxiety? I mean, for excitement, or excitement for anxiety. What the hell? Am I that out to lunch? What happens? Why is it that I'm living a day and then around 7 at night, my head wants to tell me how it was? I was there, wasn't I? I mean, I don't need a report of how the day was. I was in the day. Yes. I don't need, oh, we took, just chill out, Mr. Hedderman. We've got a story for you. Just fucking, bang into walls, do whatever, follow the herd. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll break the news. You had a freaking terrible day. What? I mean, aren't you curious to see what would be, how could that effect occur? Yeah, if we're so, thinking we're awake. Jesus Christ. No. Non-duality is, it's not something that you do, it's nothing that you are, really. Yeah. And then whatever you're going to do or not going to do won't have a huge amount of meaning, really. It won't. I mean, it'll have a meaning, but it won't be, I'm going to die if this doesn't come to pass. No, the drama of longing and passionately seeking and never finding is sort of disrupted a lot. You just like, you know what I mean? I had a story I like to tell you. I don't know. I speak at so many places. I don't know. I should remember what stories I told. But when I got sober, I had been lost in the wilderness, so to speak. And I had a period of my life that was pretty sane from about 20 to 24 because I was under a probation program. So I had to sort of behave myself. And I got involved in spirituality. So when I got sober, and I look back at my life, that was probably the best part of my life. So I try to reduplicate some of the stuff I was doing. And I was open to doing stuff. And so this lady in the program said, Paul, do you want to go to this huge Indian sweat in this mountain called Mount Shasta in Northern California? It's like ascendant masters supposedly live there. Free of rent, no rent. They're living somewhere. There's always incredible cloud formations around it. It's a lot of crystal selling stores in the town, Mount Shasta. So I went up there. I had an old bomb. I drove it up, and there was like 500 people there. It was a huge event. The only person I knew was this one lady, and then people were watching people arrive, and they were famous in their little subculture. Oh, here comes, Tomahawk Tommy driving a Harley, and he's, oh, wow. And they had the Indians from Oklahoma. They were building this shit, these sweat lodges. And the first day I go into the sweat lodge, there's a lot of people there, and no idea. There's a pit with the boulders, and there's a guy and another guy sitting next to it. And I'm standing up, and there's a lot of people there, and there's like branches, and I'm using them as a raft or like a subway. And then the whole thing goes dark, and I start feeling this heat, and I try to sit down, and there was no room. So I was holding on to this thing, and obviously heat rises, and these waves of heat were hitting me. and they burnt my underarm and my earlobe and my nostrils. And I was like, I would do anything to run out of that thing, but I didn't want to lose my spiritual face because I would have been the talk of the whole fucking 3-day event. Oh, here's the guy who ran out in the first sweat, so I'd die before I lose my spiritual face. So I'm holding there, and it's like, finally, they say, there's a lot of praying. I'm praying for this guy to stop. Do not throw another pail of water on this boulder. So finally they end it, and everyone rushes out and jumps into the stream, and you get this huge rush. And then I just started strategizing. I sat right next to the flap the next time, so I'd be the first one out. Yeah. So that was that. A few years later, I hear this message, non-duality, and it seems to get traction. A friend of mine in recovery I was a sponsor, had gotten involved with some guys, and they got into the Native American Indian thing, and they were going to have a sweat in this guy's yard up in Petaluma, about 45 minutes from here. And they wanted me to come. He wanted me to support him, this guy Christian. So I go. And we had a big fire, and there was like food and drink, and then they brought a guy from Oklahoma, an Indian. There must be like in the yellow pages. He was there, and it was only about 12 of us, and we go in, and I'm sitting there, and I feel like I'm getting hot, and I get right up and leave. As soon as I felt discomfort, I was out of there. And there I was outside. Stars were beautiful. I got all the food and the Calistogas, and they're moaning and praying, and just chilled out, having a grand old time. What had happened between those years? What had happened? Yeah. I had some fucking sense came over me. Yeah. I was burning hot. I'm out. Yeah. And I got all the food. And it was beautiful night, actually. So this is what I'm speaking about. Yeah. You don't know how seriously we're taking shit. Yeah, really. And if you were like me, other than drugs, spirituality, I gave more meaning to spirituality than anything other than drugs, really. Drugs were primo, but spirituality. And, oh, man. I had no idea that my own interest had an unknown owner that was running the interest and attention to reinforce itself, not to lead me to salvation. Yeah. So I was basically using, we say in recovery, self trying to get out of self. All that does is reinforce the self. Yes. And I'm talking about a small s, the feeling of being the doer when doing is noticed, the feeling of being the seer when seeing is noticed, the feeler of being the hero when hearing is noticed. Yes, this sense of ownership about stuff we have nothing to do with, really. Yes, that sense of ownership, that noun that's brought about by the claiming of verbing. So the living of life gets claimed to imply there's one that's living life. Yeah, and then we get stuck with a narrative. Yeah, and then we've taken ourselves, we've identified self as the center of the narrative, and then it makes sense to try to get out of the narrative, but a character of a narrative can't transcend the narrative that produces the character. Yes, you see it? The character of the narrative cannot get out of the narrative. Yeah, that's a part of the narrative, of the character in the narrative. Yeah. The hope of getting out. It's just a bigger in. And it goes on and on and on. And what's nice, though, along the way, you'll meet friends and you'll be inspired, maybe get some really good food, get massaged here or there. Nice things, start wearing looser clothing, wrinkles will leave, you have a nice loving gaze, you'll be chilled out, flexible maybe from exercising. I don't know, there's a lot of benefits, but the idea of transcending this place, I don't believe it's true. Yeah, you can't get out of here because you're not in here, really. This is an appearance. Or a dreaming, as the Course in Miracles would say. Not a dream, I don't feel. I think it's dreaming. I don't think a dream sounds like it could have an address, 423, wits end, there's where the dream is. No, dreaming, an activity, a forever ongoing activity, no beginning and no end, yes? So if it's true that we're the dreaming of the dreaming, that means we're a verb, yeah? Yet the narrative takes us as a noun, yeah? Which one you're going to believe, yes? You believe the narrative as a noun. How's that work? Yeah, maybe that's what needs. It's not a narrative, just a negation of that narrative. That's all. The negation of the idea of being the doer, not a complete, you know, uh, fucking rigid idea of doing. Yeah, just realizing you're not the doer. Yeah, realizing you're not the thinker. Yeah, then maybe you don't have to farm and cultivate thoughts or try to get these weed thoughts pulled out and all this, because all of that obsession is just reinforcing the idea of self. Yeah, getting better can be a reinforcement of the idea of self, because the self believes you're worse. Yeah, so this message to me is very clear because it doesn't go anywhere. It just basically negates what we take to be a fact and then see if it's true or not. If it ain't true, uh, you'll find out what you are by being it. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. So maybe you are exactly what they say. You are what you're looking for. The seeker is the sought. As, you know, Ramana says many, many different ways, Ramana Maharshi. One of them is, the greatest mystery of all is reality wanting to attain reality, being ourselves reality. Yeah. So I feel that's why this isn't oneness, it's non-two-ness. It's different. Oneness would be something else. This is non-two, not two. Yeah. And basically, the activity of Pauling is subject-object dualism, yes? Sometimes I'm thought about as an object, I'm pictured as an object, I see myself as an object in reflections of glass and mirror, yeah? And then sometimes I'm thinking, I believe I'm the thinker, the feeler, the seer, the taster, the toucher, which would be the subject, yeah? Subject, object, subject. That's what non-duality negates, yeah? Yeah, yeah. And then hopefully if you go in and you hear this message, the message will come with warnings so that you can recognize how the old system reinforces itself. It's just by claiming. So it claims the seeing to make itself the seer. It claims what you want to call witnessing, and now it calls itself the witness. It's just amazing, yeah? It has no, it's got no, there's no low it can't go, yeah? And there's no forbidden area. It will claim spirituality just as much as fucking materialism. Yeah, it's going to wherever you are, we're, us being there brings it in contact with what's happening. And it's going to claim it. And it's going to say that you did this or didn't do that, and you. Yeah, and if you keep hearing it, you're going to live as it, really. If you don't have a discriminating quality by hearing warnings around it, you're going to live as it. Yeah, the seeing will be forgotten in a second, and then the seer will be throned, and then you'll be living as a seer. So you'll believe that you are aware. As if you're something else that has a little thing called awareness. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Show me your awareness. Let me see it. I love when people say they're thinking. I say, all right, well, tell me what it's like before you start thinking. And then do you warm up? Like when I go swimming, I warm up a little bit before I swim. But what, is there any calisthenics or whatever? Of course, we're not thinking. We become aware of the thinking, yes, actually we are the awareness of the thinking, and then the mental state becomes aware of the thinking and claims it to imply the thinker. That's what happens, yeah? The trick is in the magic of the trick of the mental condition is time. It's the main ingredient. Living happens first, and then the idea of the one who's living comes after. Now, what happens is when the one who's living is presupposed, it's projected to be before everything. This is why you have guilt and shame for so much actions, because you think you had a choice, what you should or shouldn't have done, and actually you came after the actions. Yeah. That's why it never freaking works. That's why if people practice diligently, let's say like, it usually blows up sooner or later with, perversion. Yes, because it just doesn't work. The idea that we're the doer of stuff we have nothing really to do with doesn't hold water, really. If you can see that there's an action, then there's the claiming of that action to imply the actor, and then the actor is presupposed before all the actions. You'll see it. You'll see that life is verbing, and the narration of life or the claiming of life by the mental state turns it into noun and verb, which is duality. Yes? Yeah? You become the noun, and then you're presupposed before all verbs. And then the rest of your life, you're trying to make sense. Why did I fucking do that? Well, you didn't really. Yeah, something drove you to do something. Yes? But the stubbornness of the story, man, I run into it in recovery because recovery, a lot of shit happens, before recovery. People do things that they would never do, but they're driven to it by something taking us over, yeah? And so let's say they finally stop drinking and they get relief and they start living a principled life. Yet they're still bearing the burden of the mental harvesting of guilt and shame based on the actions they did while they were under the influence, even though something used them for transportation. The stubbornness of the program keeps providing more guilt and shame for years after years after years about what you did 30 years ago when you never even did it. Something moved you to do it. Yeah? Something took you over. Yes. So this idea of being the doer and the thinker and the feeler gets supported and reinforced and a lot of repetition. That's why we use repetition as an elixir to the poison as it's used in the world. The repetition that I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, yes? It becomes a habit. So now, when there's a seeing, there's a feeling almost immediately that you're the seer, yeah? You don't see the commonality of awareness at all. You think you're aware, yeah? So there is a solution to it all. You're not it, thank God. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Any questions or any kind of shares or whatever? I can go into it if you want, but the first movement of let's just call it a mental activity, I call selfing, is the claim. Yeah. Whatever it comes in contact with, it's going to claim and put it into its story, yeah, of noun and verb. Yeah. And non-duality is just the negation of the whole premise. Yeah, there's just verbing. There's no noun and verb. There's no verb and noun. There's just verbing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you ever hear a description? Like the Course in Miracles describes what we are sometimes, yeah? And it really feels like it gets you, captures you. And then when you read a biography of the action figure Paul, you see how it doesn't, what the hell? I don't not even have no connection to that person 30 years ago. But the description of a living activity is intimate, yeah? When they say we're the dreaming, I get that. When they say you're in a dream, I don't get that. I get we are the dreaming. Yeah, we are giving everything all the meaning it has. Yeah, we as an activity, yeah? Not as a volition or a choice. Oh, I could have gone either way. No, as an activity. Yeah. So, all right. Who's ever running the show? Yeah.
Any Glenda?
Yeah, Paul, can you elaborate? I missed that. My mind's not grasping this. You said something, we're dreaming, but we're not in the dream.
Yes, exactly. We're dreaming. See? And then there's a dreaming of a dreamt, and then there's a story that that's what we are. And so when the dreamt hears, yeah, about dreaming, he believes it's in a dream. That's the dreamt's view, yeah? So now the dreamt says, what I pray for is to have 30 Cadillacs, 72 Vestal Virgins, good knees, no hip replacements, and this is what its idea of a great dreaming would be. Would him or her getting everything they want as the dreamt? No. To being in a dream, that's the feeling of being the dreamt. You're not the dreamt, you're the dreaming. Yes? In other words, the activity of dreaming isn't imposing itself on you as the dreamt. You are the dreaming. That's where acceptance lies. In the dreamt, it's very hard to accept what's going on in the dreaming, isn't it? Makes no fucking sense. You don't have, your mental logic can't pretzel twist as to deal with it, basically. Can you? No. There's no acceptance there. Acceptance would be like complete cognitive dissonance for your gut reaction to what's happening, yes? But in the dreaming aspect of it, you can come to peace with things that there seems to be no peace around, yes? So yes, this is the whole point of the message. We're not talking to Glenda or to K2 or to Rhoda or to Paul. We're hopefully talking through Glenda and getting to what you are, yeah? So when Glenda thinks things are going over ahead, that's fantastic news from where I'm sitting. Because the last one I want to get the message is you. Because that will neuter it and fucking change it, yeah? So basically, I know your limited ability to catch the message, so I can throw it this way, it doesn't matter. All I gotta do is miss you. And how we miss you in these talks is we try to overwhelm the system. We don't take big gaps where we stop and breathe, and then the loving gaze kicks in. No, we just keep dumping more info on you to overwhelm the system, and then there'll be a pause, and then something's revealed, yes? We're not here. We don't want to make it palatable to you. We don't. That's the problem, yeah? Yeah? This is about us fitting ourselves around that, not trying to fit that around us, yeah? So it brings all that seems to imply you into a stark contrast, and because it's brought into light, there's a questioning right there. You may not even have to do self-inquiry. The light itself is a questioning of the misunderstandings. It is, yeah? So, yes, the dreamt thinks it's in a dream because the dreamt can't take there can't be the sense of the dreamt and then being the dreaming at the same time. That would be way too much responsibility for the dreamt. In the dreaming of the Course in Miracles, the dreamt and the dream is meant to fucking, discharge guilt on others, basically. And so we can have terrible perpetrators, so that makes us look better than we really are. That's the story of guilt in the Course. This whole event is about dumping guilt out, and then having people who are the real fuck-ups, the real perpetrators, so I can have the innocent face once again. Yeah? Yeah, but that guilt comes from an impossible, insane idea that you separated from what is. That's where it all comes from. Yeah, it's all Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, my father got very ill, when I was about 6, and I mean really ill. So his reaction with me was going to change his relationship. So my mother talked to me about it. They even brought the family doctor, Dr. Jan Quinto. He explained to me, that your dad's got to take it easy, da, da, da. And I listened. I have, I wasn't 2 levels below coconut. I understood what they were saying. But the feeling I had was, what did I do to cause my father not to want to play with me anymore? That's the rub of self-centeredness. That's the rub of selfing, which is this desire to believe in separation. Yes, yes. So therefore, you become completely responsible for fucking everything. Who is someone like that's going to want to drink quickly? Maybe around 12 years old. So, yes. So everyone, all right, everyone works on the guilt, but in the course, and I'm not an authority on the course. I haven't read it in years, but it had an impact on me. It did more than read me. It did something. So, but I just lost it there. But the idea of imperfect forgiveness and shit like that, because there's a little bit of an impossibility it has to deal with, which is to the guilt, which is nothing ever really happened. So that's the atonement, so to speak. You see that actually nothing has really happened, so there's no one or no need to forgive. Hallelujah, really. I mean, that works. Yeah. So, yeah. But everything, wherever you think you see yourself, you're the seeing of that. You're not the location that you're thinking you see. Yeah. You're the seeing of it. Yeah. Yeah. The seeing happens in no time, and very quickly the mental state claims it and presents you as the seer, which is the blindness to the seeing, really. Yeah, that leads to us using seeing, called my looking, to look for what's seeing. Yeah, that's the insanity of it. Yeah. Now all that needs to be corrected is it has nothing to do with seeing or what. It has to do with the you looking. Yeah, just see you're not the you looking, and that what you would call looking is what's seeing, really. Yeah, it is. There's no real difference. Looking is seeing in time, really, pretty much. Yeah, if time, that would be seeing. But because it seems to have sort of an intent and a movement and a direction finder, it's we call it looking, but it's really seeing. Yeah, yeah.
Paul? Yeah, that's so powerful. I hadn't, I've heard it so many times, you are not looking, only seeing, but right now something hit me in a different way. And yeah, that's, you are not looking. I mean,
Yes. Well, sit with that, honey. Yeah, let it percolate in there. Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. It'll call you to tea or not, but let it percolate. Yeah. It's all there, pregnantly available at all times, right now, completely. Yeah, so you get a free sample of it. That's what happens. You think you've seen the same idea over and over again. Suddenly, yeah, wow. Yeah, that does, and it suddenly is the emphasis. It's suddenly, yeah. It seems like the same old, same old. I'm going to chant, I'm not a body, I am free, I am whatever as God created me. And then suddenly you realize, Jesus Christ, who would chant that but a body? I mean, what the fuck? Why do I want to chant, I'm not a body as a body? So it's reinforcing the body. That's crazy. What? That was cool. Yeah, so those things keep happening. And there is a critical mass that is reached. Yeah, there is the straw that breaks the camel's back. There is. Yeah. Where there'll be a redistribution of interest and attention, and then there'll be more interest and attention on what's seeing than the you who's looking. Yeah, there will. And then a lot of your troubles and wrestling matches and, round 15 with bare knuckle fighting with yourself, they get called off a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Fight's over and you've lost interest sufficiently in self. Yeah. I feel hearing satsang can be available, ready. I think it can be useful. Yeah. Because that's how it happened with me. I went to satsangs and I heard this message. And then the message had a momentum, almost like that snowball going down a hill. Yeah. And it reached a speed much greater than the snowball. And yeah. Yes. Yeah. And basically, less and less effort and thought became the norm. Not more and more, but less and less. Yeah, yeah. So, to the point, like having a memory of the old ideas I had of spirituality, realizing now I have absolutely, I'm 0.000% of what I used to call spirituality. So seriously, I feel like should talk at a car show or something, or at an auto store, because really,
We have a question. I'm going to ask our caller to unmute and please ask your question. Caller 1289, your hand is raised. You with us?
he's
Caller 1289.
Oh, there she is. Never mind.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry, yeah, technically challenged. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Just to check in with what you're saying, Paul, and trying to make sense out of it, because in the synchronicity of things, this very subject came up in the group today that Anne was facilitating, embracing the whole heart, and I really had a strong takeaway from, I think it was 2 sessions ago, when you were talking about the fact that, doing is happening, but there's no doer. Believing is happening, but there's no believer. Thinking is happening, but there's no thinker. And because I'm also working with the course at this time, going through the lessons, and for sure I'm in the review section that says, you have to repeat over and over again, I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me. So I just kind of took what glimmering, it seemed, arose from listening to your sharing and brought that into the same universal pointing, I'm not a body, and translated it into embodiment is happening, but I'm not the embodier. So where this is taking me in this moment that I'm looking for a little bit more clarification was, again, revisiting the question that Glenda had around dreaming. If I can, articulate this again, paraphrase, or at least my understanding of it. So dreaming is happening. And so following that formula, one would say there is no dreamer. But what you're saying, it sounds like it's something a little different, that we are the dreamt. And even just
no, we're not. Well, and ultimately we are, but we're not the dreamt appearing as the dreamt. We are the dreaming. Yeah. But when the dreamt is the recipient of a description of the dreaming, it can only see it in a certain way. Yes. From the dreamt's point of view. You want to talk to the dreaming about the dreamt. I don't think you want to waste much time talking to the dreamt about the dreaming. Yeah. So like what you just said earlier, now you got a certain sense of something and then you put it in a language that works for you. Yeah, that's great. You are not the embodiment of this body, whatever. Yeah, you got the spirit of that. But the second part, I wasn't saying we're the dreamt. I'm saying we're the dreaming. And then there's the idea of the dreamt. And yet the dreamt all the while being the dreaming. But when it looks at everything from the dreamt point of view, that point of view severely limits what it sees. Yes. So I don't want to go when someone goes to, let's say, a dreaming seminar. It would be nice to give a warning that they may be the head may be presenting themselves as the dreamt while they're hearing this message about the dreaming. The dreamt knowing about the dreaming doesn't really go that far. The dreaming knowing it's not the dreamt is great, I feel. Yes.
So it sounds like what you're saying, if I understand, is that it's still a matter of looking with non-duality. So that if we're still separating the dreamt from the dreaming, that's duality going on. Whereas when we say believing is happening, but there's no believer, there's no duality in that, right?
Yeah.
And thinking something. Okay, so one more question, if I may. Is the dreamt synonymous with a dreamer then, or no?
No, the dreamt is the action figure. Yes. Now the action figure may think it's a dreamer, may not. It thinks it dreams at night, but the whole idea of this whole place as a dreaming, I don't know. Yeah. But no, the dreamt is the action figure idea. And of course, there's no dreamt and dreaming, so to speak. There's all that just is. But sometimes how you negate the two is by emphasizing one. Yes. So we're saying we're not the dreamt and then implying we are the dreaming. But in fact, yeah, there's a negation of both of those. Yes. Yeah.
Which brings us back to when, or none, really, nothing. Thank you. Thank you.
You never left. Yes. But sometimes you got to do a gymnastic move to realize you didn't do a gymnastic move. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you paint a picture of this or that to bring another sort of level of negation. Yes. Not just negating one from the other, but negating both. But I don't like starting with negating of both. It breeds a certain weirdness, I found. Yeah. I had an event once when I was younger. I was doing these workshops in recovery and 12 steps. And the fourth step is a big step where you do an inventory on the manifestations of self in one's life. And so these people who I had met with the Course in Miracles wanted me to set something up and, provide the people, and they were going to come from Wisconsin and give a talk. So I did. And a lot of people who knew me came. And so they started right from, there is no world. Yeah, there is no world. Everyone left that break. No one even came back. People who I'd been seeing at these workshops, I never saw them again. And I realized something there. You can't start at nothing. You have to seemingly get to it, yeah, even though you don't. But yes, the idea, they lost everybody with there is no world. Yeah, so let's start with, yeah, like Jesus does it beautifully, supposedly. I don't know who did it, but it's a beautiful statement, which is, you're in this world, but not of this world. So, all right, the negation would be, let's describe what it's like to be in this world. Yeah, and then that would be put into contrast with I'm not of this world. Yeah, that works. Starting with there is no world and there's no one in it doesn't work. I don't feel it works. So basically, we go from 1 to 2 to 0. Yeah, when there's only 0. But if you start at 0, that breeds a certain fundamentalism in non-duality, where you're looking at anyone saying I or me as you're out of the picture. You know, you've used a personal pronoun, and it becomes like non-duality Pharisees. You know, they've got the letter of the law, but they've lost the spirit. But I like it. I like going the way it's been going. Yeah, yeah. It was very, very powerful for me when I saw them, because they were true. There is no world or whatever, but it basically I know I have people call me up, and they're running into people that say, when they're looking, the guy or the woman's looking at them, they say, I don't see anybody. Well, there must be someone there to say that. You know what I mean? You can't, it doesn't work sticking with 0, 0, 0, 0. It doesn't work. You paint a picture that has two sides. It looks like you're emphasizing one against the other, and then you throw out the whole paper. That works better. Yeah, I'm giving you the secret of sharing. So yes. So if I said we're all the dreaming, yeah, that would be correct, but didn't put in the warning that the mental state is going to claim that and emphasize the dreamt as the one that's the dreaming, which it isn't, yeah, then the absolute truthness of the statement wouldn't work. It doesn't work, because the mental state overrode it by claiming to be the one who heard it. Yes? So that's more important than what you hear, is the activities that are claiming to be the hearer of it is much more important than really what you hear. Yeah, I feel. So, yeah. Yeah. I
Thank
think
you for sharing.
do it a little bit too. Ramana was in a cave for years, and he was basically figuring everyone was getting it because he was just sitting in that, and then he realized no one was fucking getting it. So he brought out self-inquiry. He basically said, this is if you got to have, here's a bone, got to give you a bone, self-inquiry, and then things started to work. Yes. Yeah, so yeah. Uh, yeah. Yeah. All right. But thank you for that. Yes. But no, we're not saying the dreamt. I'm just pointing out that when there's hearing of the dreaming, there'll be a claiming of that and implying it was the dreamt that heard it. That knowledge of the dreaming doesn't go far when held as the dreamt. It doesn't. It goes into praying for 50 Rolls Royces and shit, something like that. Tons of money. Because the dreamt and all its programming applies all that to the dreaming, and it really doesn't fit. This isn't like a lotto. It isn't like a lottery. I got the correct numbers. You'll never be able to wipe off the loving gaze off my face. Yeah, so that's why we try to talk through everyone, not to anybody. Yeah, I'm tired of talking to people. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't. Yeah. It goes, but it just goes. It doesn't go anywhere, because they leave. I feel it's important to have the knowledge of how selfing runs. Yeah. First of all, it's mechanical, so it takes out the idea of volition. that you are not doing the selfing, nor is the selfing doing you. It's not attacking you. There's just selfing, yeah? Those two positions of being the doer or being done to by it are both products of the selfing. They're not capturing what you are, yes? So it's mechanical, no volition. It's very fast. The claiming is very fast, maybe a second and a half, I don't know. They have research, but it's very quick. And I don't believe there's a process that could start before that process. Yeah, so you're not going to be able to process yourself out of it because whatever process you get involved with, it's claiming to be the one doing the process. Before you can lay the effects of the process on it, it's already made itself to be something that's going to eat your resistance to it and make you a bigger one. Yeah, so let's just be honest. We're outmatched, so to speak. We're not going to get out. We're not transcending. We're not going to have a everlasting stabilization of divine experience here unless everything right now is that, then yes, that's happening. Yeah? And so there can be because hope blows up a lot of balloons. Yes? Yeah. And so you fill the sky, which is the empty nothingness, with fucking conceptual balloons. They may have to get popped. Yeah, you can save time and trouble. Yeah, so, yeah. Anyone else? Do we have to end at 5:30?
Well, we could go a little longer if you're willing, Paul. We do have,
If anyone else wants to, yeah, I don't care.
I'd love to. I'm here. K2, do you have a question?
K2.
Yes, howdy, Paul and everyone. I don't have a question. I'm sitting here. It's a bit surreal in a way. I've been watching Paul for a couple of years. I came across your videos a good couple of years ago, and it's been a very profound effect for me, Paul, listening to you, and kind of quite quickly, a lot of relief came in me, and the heart went very peaceful, right? I've been banging away at the spiritual life, inverted commas, for 30 odd years. And I was a bit of an on-pass about 2 or 3 years ago in my life. Nothing major. It was just like a bit of a dead end. It was a really very beautiful moment because in the dead end, you seemed to appear at the right time. It was a very lovely moment. And there was like a tipping point. That's how I describe it, because it wasn't all you, but it was certainly what you were sharing and this thing around the presupposed self. And something in me got that very quickly. And I'm just full of gratitude, really. I'd just like to hear that, because that's kind of percolated into my beingness. And it's brought a lot of peace, right? And it's not as if there was a particular storm in me, because that had passed quite a long time ago, the storms of my youth and the storms of the troubled kind of past. But just enjoyed your mercurial mind and your holy irreverence, your humor. I absolutely love it, right? So these are the things that have spoken to me: your irreverence, your humor, your quip on Ryanair many years ago, because I had severe issues with Ryanair. It just happened to be at the right time. Do you remember Ryanair? Yeah. Who doesn't? But what else? There's something around, yes, and that kind of quip around pure awareness. You were playing with that idea of pure awareness, and I'm often in stitches, but yeah, this is a lot of gratitude coming. And for me, what's coming there, Paul, is the truth that knows itself to be true.
Yes.
And that is becoming more and more of a companion running through me. And there's just a lot of quietness coming through me, So I really I think I kind of found your link. I went to your website and I thought it's time to come and say hello to the community and time to say thank you to you. Basically, that's just what I want to do, and just kind of sit and, kind of warm myself here in the community and pick up on the vibe. So thanks a lot, Paul.
Wow, thank you very much. I think we should end on that one. Yeah, that was very nice. I like the truth that knows it's the truth. Yes.
It knows
That's-
its own truth. Yeah, the truth that knows its own truth. That keeps
Yeah.
coming to me. The truth that knows itself to be true.
Yes, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that captures it for me too. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, there's actually nothing else that had that quality. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm happy to meet you finally. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Yeah. I remember the Ryanair. That was I was concerned. I was going to do some talks, but there was a book by Ramana I wanted to bring, but I thought it would put me overweight, so I just tore out. So I went to London with like 5 pages.
That's right.
I was never going to give them any more money. Ryan,
That's exactly it.
they were too
Yeah.
much. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah, Ryanair was a trip. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had an incredible, I got stuck. I'll tell you a short story. I was in Sweden, I was in Stockholm giving some talks in recovery. And then these people from Spain got in touch with me from Malaga, wanted me to fly down there for the weekend, do something. One of the first things I did, I think. So I said, yeah. And I took Ryanair down there. Now, went through, in Stockholm, everything, got in, flew to Malaga. So Malaga, the weekend's over. I didn't have a computer, whatever. And my flight's at 6 in the morning. So the people who had taken, drove me to the airport. I didn't know them from Adam or Eve, really, but they drove me to the airport, dropped me off. And I go through the first gate. I go through the second gate. I get to the plane, and they stop me in the plane. I can see my seat about 5 feet away from me. And then they start talking to me, and I'm going, hey, does this mean I'm going to miss this flight? And he went, yes. You don't have the right stamp, which I didn't even know. Securities posts. I didn't have the stamp. So I said, when's the office open? They go, oh, at 7. So they just released me in the airport. I didn't know how to get in touch with these people.
That's right.
So 7 o'clock, I go to the thing and they tell me there's only a tomorrow's flight. And I said, well, I got to get to Stockholm because my flight to America is the next day. So and then I had to wait for the kiosk, the internet kiosk to open up to send a message to these people. Hey, I'm at the airport. Come on down and get me. And just send me an email if you get the message. So I'm there from 6 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They slept in late. So I'm in there 7 hours, going every hour to check if I get an email. They finally call me. They drive down, pick me up. I bought a ticket for 7 something that night, $500 ticket.
That's right.
They brought me back to where I was staying. I got a few hours. I lay down. We got it ready to go. I get into their van. I can't find my passport. What? It was only in the kitchen and this bedroom. So we go back to the compound. I'm looking everywhere. Can't fucking find it. Now the lady who was living there, she was Dutch and he was Spanish. She goes into her pocketbook and she has my passport in there. How did the hell did my passport get into a pocketbook? They're totally different colors. Finally, so he drive me to the airport. I get on the plane. Now it's been like 18 hours. I get to Stockholm. The people are fucking 3 hours late. They get me at 3 in the morning. I got to go back to the airport at 7 in the morning to fly to London, back to America. So Ryanair. Yes. Yeah.
That's what we call volatile, right?
Yeah. And I was using Muji as an image, and I felt I was being cursed by Muji. God damn it. It was so funny, man. But in hindsight, it wasn't funny when it was happening.
No, no,
But
sure.
thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
I think we'll end. Hey, very much, K2. Thanks. And we have
Thanks for
tons
your
of
stuff.
visit us again. We just go to zenbitslap.com.
Yeah, no, we'll come along again. Thanks, Paul.
Hey, I just want to say goodbye to everyone. Connie, nice to see you there again. Glenda, you know, you're inherently okay. Glenda or no. Yes. We got Audrey, nice. Hey, thanks for running it. Infos. Yeah, I thought Sina may have dyed her hair. I don't know what happened, but there she is. We got Patricia. Nice to see you there. We got George. We got John R., a friend of mine from down under. Nice to see you. Jacqueline. Nice to see you there. Well, who else? Jacqueline. Oh, Rona. Rona. Is that Rona? Yes. Awakening Together. She's in the sanctuary. I can feel it. Yeah. And Gregory, AT Radio Computer Numbers. Thanks, everyone. Had a very nice time. I'll see you again on Tuesday. Yes. Thanks, K2, everyone. Bye-bye.